I got a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Yes. Let's go, Dodgers. Me and George were right. That usually happens on this show, especially when you're talking about me. I'm usually right. I'm usually right about this shit. I usually nail it most of the time. Sometimes I'm wrong, but not often. Your team sucks. Welcome to our show. Dodgers world champs, COVID champs. Jordan was dissing in our pregame, dissing on the Dodgers, talking about the COVID champs. At least they weren't the we still signed champs, right? I think the Dodgers deserved it. I think Dave Roberts switched innings there, switched teams for a minute, and took out a guy that was just throwing lights out. But thank you, as a Dodger fan. I know me and George really appreciate that because now we got a ring. There's controversy, though. Controversy. COVID. Justin Turner apparently was making out with all the Dodgers after the game, and people are upset about that. I just want to ask you, George, honestly, if you go through everything you've been through as a Dodger and you win the World Series and you find out in inning 5 that you have COVID, I'm going to celebrate with my team. I don't think it's going to kill anybody. You might get it to them, but come on. That is a once in a lifetime, maybe thing that's going to happen. Hopefully they want to repeat, but you never know. George, if you're in that situation and you went through all that and you found out you had COVID and security tried to hold you back from celebrating with your team, what do you do?
Well, it's a weird situation because he did play 5 innings with them. He was bumping fists. He was bumping chests. He was sitting there talking with them the whole game. The only thing I kind of see is, there was fans on the field. Not fans. There was family on the field. Older people, young kids. So it was kind of a risk to do what he did. But, man, it would have been hard to keep me off the field, too. And actually, they tried, supposedly, to keep him off. And he pushed his way through.
Yeah. It's really interesting because obviously he had COVID, but he had no symptoms or anything like that. So this is the motherfucking world we live in right now. Literally, we're talking about, really, it's like a really bad flu that kills people, no doubt about it. But now we're talking about you can't go celebrate with your teammates after doing something that most people on the planet will never do. So it's really interesting. But we're going to move on to the NFL, to week 8. And I said on Tuesday on our last show, we were not going to make this show about the Cowboys. And this show is not going to be about how bad the Cowboys suck. They do suck. We all know it now. It's indisputable. But we're going to go and we're going to talk about week 8. We're going to make our picks against the number here. Our man, Lukachi, is on vacation. So I'm running the board. God help us all. So let's just jump right in to week 8 of the NFL. We're going to make our picks. Brought to you by the numbers, brought to you by UWager, our friends. And all the lines are officially brought by UWager. Check them out. All right. We got the Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. And, I don't know what this game's going to be. George, what are you thinking here?
It's a very scary game. The line actually opened up 3. It's gone down to 1.5. I don't know how you can put your money on Atlanta. They lose the game every time in the fourth quarter. Carolina's a little banged up, but the backup running back's been doing great. I take Carolina and lay the 1.5, even though they're telling me Atlanta's the play.
Yeah, I don't touch this game. Jordan?
Yeah, expect Christian McCaffrey not to play again. So Panthers banged up, like you said. Mike Davis is doing just fine filling in for him. I bet the Bears wish they had him back. I don't know how they let him go. I am completely staying off of this game. You don't know what to expect here. Carolina's been playing much better than we expected them to at the beginning of the season, and Atlanta finds new and creative ways to lose. Last week they lost by scoring a touchdown. Never seen one team score a touchdown, the other team celebrate. It's awesome.
Yeah, what is up with the Falcons? You talk about snake bit. Obviously, something between them and New Orleans. Some kind of voodoo shit has happened with those two teams. Obviously, the Saints, it happens in the playoffs. The Falcons, I don't know what the hell is going on there. But we're going to move on to the Indianapolis Colts versus the Detroit Lions. The Lions are getting 2.5 points at home. Once again, this is one I probably don't touch. Detroit is game. They're not good, but they usually keep it fairly close. So, George, what are you thinking here?
I agree with you. This game's a real tough game to bet. You just got to stay away and watch it. It should be a fun game to watch, but I wouldn't put my money on either side here.
Jordan?
Well, the Colts are quite a good defense, and they're number one against defending tight ends. Detroit has been trying to force the ball to Hawkinson. Galladay's still a little bit banged up. I would think I would still stay off of the game altogether, though. There's too many other good ones on the board.
All right, we got the Las Vegas Raiders versus Baker Mayfield's psychological issues, the Cleveland Browns. So Baker, 1 week, just lays a complete egg, looks like shit. Then all of a sudden, Odell Beckham goes down, and Baker looks like effing Joe Montana. So I'm confused because this team looked pretty good in the beginning, beat some bad teams. They beat the teams that they were supposed to beat with the talent level that they have, but then they go into a division rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just get demolished. And then last week they come back and they have an impressive win. So I don't know what this team is all about. I think the Raiders are up and coming. I like the Raiders. There's a lot of speed there. I think they're kind of trying to learn how to win ball games. I do not touch this game with a 10-foot pole. George?
Yeah, very tough game. Cleveland's last game was kind of unimpressive. I mean, they went into Cincinnati and barely squeaked out a win, but Mayfield did look better. I think the reason he looks better is because Beckham is just always screaming for the ball. So he's trying to get him the ball, It's his first thought every time is get him the ball instead of finding the right open receivers and getting it to the guys. So I think him going out is going to take some pressure off Beckham off Mayfield trying to get the ball to Beckham, and he's going to open up other avenues, and you're going to see him move the ball a little more. And this week the Raiders are still banged up. They didn't practice well. I stay away from this game, but it's probably the game I want to watch the most.
Jordan?
Hearing a lot of pass out of you. But I do. I actually kind of like this game. I like Cleveland here. I do think that he's going to have Baker Mayfield's going to be better. He didn't have good chemistry with OBJ. Like I said, forcing him the ball. I think had he not gotten injured, they probably would have tried to trade him. Keep in mind the deadline's coming up, and there's going to be a lot of moves this week.
Right.
Yeah, they're saying today's kind of the deadline because they have to get him in by today so they can pass the COVID test and they can still practice and get playing by next week. But it's officially Tuesday.
The COVID. Right. The COVID everything. Speaking of COVID, isn't there, George, you said there was a couple games that are rescheduled now?
Yeah, I believe. Well, they postponed them. They haven't scheduled them or not taking them off the board, but the Chargers definitely came down. I forget what the other game was. Tampa and the Chargers both came down.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, Tampa, they can use the rest, get the old man some bye weeks in here, and who knows what's going to happen. But
it's kind of working out for him. The way it worked out for LeBron to get that big rest as an old man in the middle of the season, and Brady's getting a few extra weeks in there.
Yeah, the COVID help.
That'll be ironic if Tom Brady, everybody else in the NFL gets COVID except Tom Brady and he wins a Super Bowl. That I wouldn't doubt that at all, right? I think that's pretty much how Tom Brady rolls. All right.
Well, the football gods love him, so.
Yeah, they do. So we have the starting debut of Tua, the Miami Dolphins savior. Is he going to actually make the Dolphins great again? We'll see. This line to me, how do you make this line? I don't know how you can make a line with a quarterback that you've never seen play. Dolphins are getting 3.5 points at home against the Rams. Now, George, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. How do you come up with that line on a brand new quarterback that has never started a game in the NFL? I think this is going to be a closer game than people think. but I have no idea what's going to happen here with Tua. What are your thoughts, George?
Well, I think they put the lineup as the other quarterback is starting and just basically see what he does from there. They're using him as the barometer, and they're gonna see what Tua does. But yeah, this is who knows what's going to happen with the line. You might see the best quarterback ever to touch the ball. Who knows what we're going to see here? It's going to be interesting. I think the Rams coming off a short week. It looks a good spot for Miami coming off the bye. It's a really good spot for Miami. That's the reason the line is 3.5. The line's telling you to bet Miami.
Yeah, and a half point is really interesting because I mean, in theory, it should be a close game. It's like you said, it's a short week for the Rams. They're coming off a win. The Dolphins are going to be pumped up for Tua. We'll see if that translates. I mean, the Dolphins have played well. They've played hard. I think they will play hard. My X factor is Aaron Donald in this game. If he hits Tua really hard once or twice, what's going to go through Tua's mind? I think the best thing for Tua was probably to get hit early in this game, and just because he hasn't been hit since he got hurt. And they're not letting him get hit in practice. So this is going to be really interesting. The psychological aspect of Tua coming back from this injury. I mean, he looked perfectly comfortable in the 2 snaps that he took against the Jets, but it was garbage time against the Jets. Aaron Donald is better than the entire Jets defense by himself. So, it's going to be really interesting. Jordan?
I'm very interested to see what happens in this game. The line obviously reflects the time they had to prepare for the game and them coming off the bye week. If you were just looking at these two teams with the same amount of time to prepare, it should probably be 6.5 or 7. The Rams are a much more talented organization. They run the ball a lot better. They can also stop the run a lot better. And that would be my X factor if there's one of them. Miami's great against the pass, but can they stop them from running the ball? I think I would still it's called gambling. I think I would gamble on Miami there and see what happens.
Yeah, the half point looks pretty good, but I once again, you say I'm laying off all these games, but yes, I would lay off that game until I see what Tua does. If Fitzpatrick is playing in that game, I take Miami in that half point for sure. But I think it's going to be feast or famine. I think he either comes out and just balls out of control or he lays an egg. It's his first start, right? You look at Joe Burrow, his first start, he was okay, but he wasn't that great, and he got better and more comfortable as the season has gone on here, and now he looks like a very good NFL quarterback at this point. So anyway, Minnesota Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers. Packers given 7 points here. I like the Packers in this game. I think the Packers, had their fumble, if you will, against Tampa. They looked great last week, and I think they beat the Minnesota Vikings here pretty good. George?
Yeah, I think they take care of a sloppy Minnesota's team. I know this is a rivalry game, and it's usually tough. The 7 is a lot of points. I'm going to stay away from the side. I'm going to bet the over 51. I think the over 51 is a good bet in this game.
Jordan?
Yeah, I definitely love the over here. These are two teams going in different directions, division rivals, but it looks like Minnesota probably going to be selling at the deadline, and the Packers, a lot of talks about them buying. There was talks about them trying to go after Michael Thomas, who's practicing again. There was also talks real recently that they're trying to make a deal for Will Fuller, so trying to add more talent in this arms race in the NFC for their talented quarterback. I like them to stomp them.
So here's the question. The question is, do the New England Patriots actually suck? Are they a bad football team now? At the beginning of the season, Jordan and I predicted that the dynasty was over, that Cam wouldn't make that big of a difference. And in the first couple games, we were wrong. But since then, people have figured out what they're doing. They haven't been able to practice as much and make the adjustments they would normally make. This game, the Patriots suck. And are they on a downward spiral? Or are they going to bounce back? This game's going to tell you everything you need to know about the New England Patriots. I personally think that the Bills win this game, and they probably win it by more than a touchdown. So I like the Bills in this game because I believe the Patriots are done. George?
I think the Patriots will bounce back and fight in this game. I'm not sure they're going to win it, but I know they're going to come back and fight. They definitely won't look as bad as they did last week. The coach won't let him get that bad. And if Cam starts, he was embarrassed. So he's going to come back and play a little better. I'm not really sold on the Bills. I know you guys are crowning them already, but I'm not sold on the Bills. I think the Patriots cover this game. If I bet it, I definitely take New England here.
Jordan?
See, that's really interesting. The Patriots just said today, actually, that everybody is on the block. They're willing to trade Gilmore. They're willing to trade everybody out there. I think they realize that they're in full rebuild. Patriots are known for going away from players before they're completely out. Julian Edelman not practicing today. I think all the signs say play the Bills here. This is the Bills' real chance to say this is our division. Patriots are banged up, missing a lot of people. You like Bill Belichick and his coaching and his ability to go out there and get his team ready to play, especially coming off of a loss, but I don't see it. Give me the Bills here all day long.
Yeah, I think Jordan and I did kind of crown them, George, the Bills, that is, in a couple weeks ago. But I think people have figured out Josh Allen now that he can't throw an intermediate ball and he can't throw short passes very well. And they're forcing him to do that with pressure on his face, and he hasn't been able to do it. They were beating teams early in the season by throwing deep balls. Now they look a lot like they did 2 years ago when Josh Allen had to run the ball a lot. He got in trouble a lot. Turned the ball over, he missed a lot of open receivers in the intermediate areas. And yeah, I think the Miami Dolphins, if Tua is just as good as Fitzpatrick or even a little better, Dolphins have a chance at this division. And we'll see. We will absolutely see.
He's a lot better than Fitzpatrick. He's a winner. The kid's a winner. All he does is win. Tua's going to do well. Watch.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I know.
But I'm cautiously optimistic about Tua. I want to see
if Tua came from like Baylor or some weird school, I can see what you're saying, but he's come from a winning school and just wins.
Yeah. He came from, as close to a pro organization as you're going to get is where he came from.
Yeah.
Right. And so, no, I get all that. It's just like Joe Burrow, right? I knew Joe Burrow, and I said it on this show many times, was going to come in and play well because of the system he played in and the players he played with, and the competition he played against was as close to the NFL as you could possibly get. And Tua, the same thing, before he got hurt. And there's an argument to be made that if Tua stays healthy, you never know what happens, right? And so, yeah, it's really interesting. So we have what I would call the suck bowl, the complete fucking ass whooping college line game that I just skipped over there. That was not on purpose, though. I should probably just skip right over it.
It should. 19.5 point
favorite. 19.5 points for an NFL team. Congratulations, Adam Gase. You have now gotten to the point where your team, even with your starting quarterback being there, is 19.5 point dog. I don't know what you do with this game. Any NFL game that's 19.5 points, you almost have to take the underdog. That's so many points for an NFL team. What do you do about it? George?
You're going to see a 38-3 game, 38-6. They're going to blow them out. It's not even going to be fun to watch, but if you have to bet it, I think you got to bet Kansas City. When has the Jets showed you anything to put their money on? It's a horrible game. You probably should stay away from it, but 19.5.
You would have to think, though, as a professional, as an NFL player on the New York Jets, that you're going to show up for this game and you're actually going to play for the exact reason that you just said, George. You don't want to be embarrassed. And so, perhaps the only way Adam Gase can motivate this team is be like, hey, guys, you don't want to be embarrassed. Right? I'm actually –
Adam Gase isn't a great motivator. He's just not.
No, he's terrible. So, okay, Jordan, what's your take here, bud?
This is the best team in the league against the worst team in the league. But 19.5 points is too much, especially since in Kansas City you should expect a weather game there. I have to
correct you on something. They're not playing the Cowboys. They're playing the Jets. You said the worst team.
I think the Jets are better than the Cowboys for sure.
Oh, okay.
The Cowboys are better than the Jets. I misspoke. Two things. I refuse to bet a pro game with 19.5 points, and I refuse to bet the Jets, so I'm passing on this.
Yeah, it's like every year UT plays some school like first game of the year. It's always
Sam
like
Houston
Central
State.
Texas or something. Yeah. This is like UT versus Central Texas or something like that. So anyway, yeah, this is a it's a shit game. All right, best game of the week right here. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Ravens, and the Ravens are are getting four. No, the Steelers are getting 4 points here. Explain that to me. I'm all over the Steelers here. I take this game all the way. I don't understand that line. And this is the kind of games I like to bet on when I think the lines are wrong. And line is completely wrong. I take Pittsburgh all the way here. George?
I'm not too sure. You know, I've crowned Pittsburgh as the number one team on my power rankings for 3 weeks now, but this week is a bad week. Baltimore's coming off the bye week. Pittsburgh struggled in a fight last week against Tennessee. I really think this is a spot for Baltimore. Unfortunately, I like Baltimore here.
Jordan, I know who you like. Go ahead. Let's hear how great Lamar Jackson is.
No, I like Baltimore for the reasons he said to win this game outright, but in a division rivalry with two very, very good stacked teams, 4 is too much.
If
it was less than 3, I'd take Baltimore, but if not, I'd take the points.
It's just the bye. That 4 point is from the bye week, them being off last week, and Pittsburgh in a slobber knocker last week. I think that's all they're looking at and made that 4. If not, it's a 2-point game at best. I
think you're right, but I think it's a 3-point game either way. But I think that's I don't know. I'm just still not sold on Lamar Jackson. And you have a great coach, great coaches on both sides, but they know Lamar Jackson really, really well. They're gonna make him throw the ball from the pocket. Pittsburgh has an excellent defense, and they've got a bunch of playmakers on that team, especially in the secondary. And they're gonna make Lamar Jackson beat them in the air, and I just don't think he will, regardless of the bye or not. They're just gonna keep him in the pocket and say, okay, you're not gonna take off and run for 50 yards. You're gonna have to beat us throwing the ball, and I just don't think he's gonna be able to do it. So that's my take. I love Pittsburgh here.
This is a fun game. This is definitely going to be the one to watch.
Oh yeah. All right. Tennessee Titans. This is actually a really good ball game too. Titans versus the Bengals. Bengals are getting 6 points at home. I like the Titans here. I would take the Titans here all the way, but I wouldn't feel incredibly confident about it because the Bengals play hard. They have an excellent young quarterback, and I would bet it, but I wouldn't be too sure about it. George?
I really love Tennessee this week. I mean, after that loss last week, and this line is too low. I mean, Cincinnati, I understand they're playing well, but 6 points against Tennessee is not enough. They're going to beat them by at least a touchdown.
Jordan?
I agree with George. I'd take Tennessee here. The one thing I will say, kind of going against that, is if you want to say anything about the Bengals defense, they can stop the run fairly well. They're not great in the pass, but they're good at stopping the run. And the Titans like to run first to set up the pass. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see how the game script goes for them.
This is a different level of running
back as well.
This is a different level of running that they're used to seeing.
Right.
Yeah, a totally different level. And Tannehill's playing well. Say what you want about Tannehill. I've always liked Tannehill. Tannehill's playing well. And, obviously he has a big advantage of having Derrick Henry back there and running the play action. But Tannehill's played well. I still really like this team to go deep into the playoffs. That's the Titans, that is. All right. Let's see what we got next here. We got the Niners versus the Seahawks. This is another excellent football game. The line to me looks right there. Division rival. Seattle coming off a loss. I probably leave this one alone. George?
I agree with you leaving it alone. Seattle coming off the loss is scary. SF is getting better. Their defense is getting healthy. Stay away from this game.
Jordan?
Yeah, I agree. Division rivalry, two very, very good teams. And in this division where every team's good, these division games matter a lot. Expect a really good one.
Right. We got the Saints versus the Bears. This is another good ball game right here. The Saints are minus 4.5. Bears getting 4.5 at home in Chicago. Man, this is another tough one. I don't touch it. George?
I almost agree with you here. I haven't picked many games, but this is another tough game. You don't know what you're going to get with the quarterback over there in Chicago. The Saints are having problems at wide receiver. They can't seem to work it out with Thomas. So I stay away from this game too. It's just a tough one.
Jordan?
Thomas is coming back in this game. Emmanuel Sanders probably out. We don't know. Give me the Saints here. I have not seen very much out of the Bears recently. They started out really hot, but that offense can't score, and the Saints do have a very good defense. I bet the Saints.
The Saints are coming back, Okay, here we go. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet, George. Short and sweet. Since we only have one Cowboy fan, it's not as much fun to fuck with y'all as it is when Luke's not here anyway. But this is simple. The line is pathetic for a division rival. The Cowboys are getting 9 points. It's in Philadelphia. I mean, what can you say about this, George? I mean, it's just indicative of how bad the Cowboys are, and I would bet Philly all day here.
Yeah, the line's crazy. This Dianucci is their quarterback. I'm not even going to watch the game, put it that way. I won't even turn this game on.
You're going to watch the game.
I can't.
You're absolutely going to watch this game.
I will not watch this game. It's going to hurt to see Philly stomp on
Fairweather Cowboy fan.
Deep down inside of you, you have this tiny glimmer of hope that every Cowboy fan has been brainwashed into believing.
No, my hope got stomped out. It got stomped out with Dak. Dak got stomped out. My hopes went with him.
It's a little star that lives deep within your soul, and that little star thinks that there's hope. You're definitely going to watch the game. You're going to be peeking in on the score of that game, and if it's even close in the second quarter, you're going to be like, oh, I should watch this game.
Maybe the Cowboys can pick up Andy Luck or something, and they can come back around, but there's no hope for them right now with what they got.
Jordan?
Yeah, it's so many points for a division rivalry game, especially against the Eagles, who really aren't that good this year. I mean, the Eagles are banged up. We should see Jalen Reagor in this one, which should be really interesting, the rookie wide receiver for Philly, and see what he can do. But both of these teams are selling pieces right now at the deadline. So Eagles, without their two starting tight ends, too many points. Stay off of it.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts, Jordan?
Congratulations to George and his Dodgers. They should have kept Snell in.
That's it? That's all you got?
Did you want more?
Yes, I want more.
I'm hoping they start going away from this analytics shit in baseball because it's been proven wrong over and over and over. I mean, I know probably maybe in the 160-game season you can lean on it, but when you're in the playoffs, throw that analytics shit out the window and use your heart and manage the game like a manager, like some stupid shit.
At some point, you have to trust your eyes, right? And you trust what you're seeing. And, like we were talking about, those 2-pitch fastballs up in the zone that he was throwing were deadly and unhittable. And he struck out how many people?
He had 9. They had 9 in the 5th inning.
He had 9 Ks by the 5th inning, and you decided to take him out. And no run.
He struck out the 1, 2, and 3 batters twice each. Like he was smoking everybody, and they took him out. I couldn't believe it. I was actually celebrating.
That's bad against left-handed pitchers. If you want to talk analytics.
Yeah, that would be like you put Ray Allen in the game and he hits 5 3-pointers in a row, and you go, oh, you know what? We're gonna take Ray out because the odds are he's not gonna hit the 6th one, right? That makes no sense at all. You go with the hot hand, and analytics can't always capture the hot hand because it's not over a long period of time. It's in the moment.
But if they're going to do analytics, then get rid of all the coaches and all the managers and just throw a robot out there and he'll tell you what to do. They'll spit out the algorithm. You do this, and that's it.
I think analytics, in a long season come into play. And I think, you see Moneyball proves that out. Anyway, that's it. Like, share, all that. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Tuesday. See ya.
Peace.
Later.